because we take on that man scaffolding through pressure, then we need a blowout. Now for me, it was drinking from 14. For someone else, it might be the helium balloons. It might be coke. It might be weed. You see 14-year-olds, they're just smoking all day. And their brains are still growing. So what synaptics aren't getting connected as they're smoking weed as a norm that we didn't start doing until 17, 18, and some people older than that. And some people so infrequently that it's gonna mess them up once a quarter. So we have to recognize where the ego is our downfall and let's circumvent it. But take the time for the inner introspection. And that's probably gonna come up quite a lot in what we're saying.
Yeah, no, definitely. And that takes logic. And I think that's a part of parenthood that kids need. I think there's a part where when situations happen, there's obviously the mothers I think they're very good at a lot of the sides of it.
Absolutely.
But it is a side of it in terms of logically understanding.
How are you going to do that?
Situations.
You're going to say a mother's exactly the same as a father with minus logic and reason?
You know?
You're going to cause some trouble, you know?
No. I'm just saying that they're more emotional. Females are more emotional.
Society seems to be over fathers, but children definitely aren't. I think about this on the trajectory of my journey as full-time father, being in the house, waking up my son, bathing him, making him food, playing with him, working from home, running him out so he was tired, and then seeing my clients, knowing the schedule that he was going to wake up, to being an out-of-the-house father when me and his mum split up. Where do we change and how much do we have to evolve? So in this conversation, I'm going to give you a little bit of my journey. First was the bitterness of not being with his mum, because we all go through this. So we have empathy when we're hearing men tearing down women now. It's understandable. What we didn't have necessarily were those communities when I went through that. I went through it in solace. And when I moved out, I lived in the basement of my shop for 6 weeks and met Lucifer in a bottle and actually dealt with all of the beginning of that to come to the place where I am now in my finite wisdoms to share with you. I created a routine where I used to get up at 5 o'clock in the morning before I was on my feet to go to the house, wash my son, dress him, make him breakfast and take him to school from his mum's. I did that for a period of 3 years before we took him out of school and homeschooled him. Now, within this process, I built up such a strict discipline of getting up at 5 o'clock. And then I'd spoil him every Wednesday. We had a day called Deanie and Daddy Day, where I'd overcompensate and spend over a $1 on whatever our date was. We've seen Thriller Live, Michael Jackson, 3 times. We go and see Walk with Dinosaurs, Batman Live, whatever the show was. We'd go to the cinema every week. There are certain films we've seen 3 times just because of that overcompensation. And it's a stage until you start to see the child turn when you say no. And then they get an entitlement and you realizing that spoiled milk is just spoiled. So what me and the voice behind the camera are going to explore today is why the children and why society shouldn't really be over fathers, because we're as necessary as mothers and a completely different dynamic and component that no woman is capable of bringing, because this is another narrative that we hear. I'm a mother and a father. Well, I can't be a father and a mother because I'm no type of mother. I don't have that spiritual makeup inside. And for our sisters, you don't have the man's spiritual makeup inside. So for the Father's Day cards you're receiving, they're unwarranted. Any more than I could receive a Mother's Day card, or even the best mother or father could get both. So within this, where do fathers live in society today?
They've changed the narrative on what a father is over the years so much that the need for a father seemed like it was there was no need because anyone can do it from what they've said. So what would you say the fundamentals are of a father?
Well, first of all, the key thing that I say to a father is what I'd say to every man, woman and child. Know thyself. Because when you know yourself, you actually know, and let me reverse it before I say this. Children require a particular type of patience, which is why it's better for people to have children at a stage where they are mature, so that children aren't just bickering with children. And when you know yourself and you're tested by your child, which you will be, part of being a parent that you got to get used to is blood, shit, snot and vomit. If you are not prepared for those four entities, when my son's nose was blocked, I have sucked snot out of his nose with my mouth and spat it out. Mum's looking at me like this. We got to become used to these things. And before all of that, you got to know yourself. And it seems like it's hard when they're babies. It seems harder like when they're toddlers, terrible twos. But when they become teenagers, you got to deal with the monster that is you. It's your own reflection looking back at you. So what I say all fathers need is a deeper knowledge of themselves. So when we go through these things and we say like, I had this fractured relationship with my dad from maybe I was a teenager. It's from the stage where we got to answer back, right? And that's where the chasm came. So if we want to avoid that chasm, we need to know us. So when we meet our reflection in our seed, we know how to deal with it.
100%.
Because it can't be, I'm your dad, you do this. What man, because a teenager is a young man, is going to listen to that? I'm not going to listen to it. And my 16-year-old doesn't listen to it. No, dad, no, dad. To be fair, the reciprocity, he's a solicitor already. And I'm sure by the time he's 17, he'll be a barrister.
Definitely.
So when we develop the tools of knowing ourselves, we know how to apply the wisdom to our seed without losing our rag and throwing the baby out with the bathwater and just repeating that generational curse of having division between us and our children.
When they say it takes a village, how much of that village should be females and how much should that village be males?
It should always be a balance for boys and for girls because we have different needs. It's like friends. You got a friend that you know you're going to go and do business with. You know that you've got a friend you're going to go and have a drink with them. You've got a friend that you're going to have a blowout, you might go to boxing or whatever with. We have different people for different needs in our lives. And to create that fully rounded child, just like us, because we're getting as much out of it as the child is getting out of it. So I know that I've personally been that uncle with my friends' children because I'm not as invested in their child as them. Where they get mad, I'm just going to be completely objective. So when I speak to their child, try have that conversation with my son. It's not going to work. Somebody else has got to do that. Because I can't be objective. I'm too close. There's a fish called a rumblefish that fights its reflection. On certain topics, that'd be me and my boy.
Yeah, definitely.
I need somebody else to step in and be that part that can just objectively stand outside and be the unadulterated wisdom. So you can look at me. Why can't you be like Uncle Dad? Hey man, I'll take it. Give me a get out of jail.
Of course.
And for someone else, I'm that uncle.
Yes, that's it.
When I take my nephew in the garden and he doesn't want to tell his mum something, he's going to tell me because he knows, one, it's not going anywhere else. First thing I told my son and my nephew, over that period when I used to spoil my son, I go and pick up his cousins. And he's got 2 girl cousins. But it was really to give him and my nephew man time. So that they were brothers. And the one thing I was to draw them close and I'd say, never lie to me because there's nothing you could do so bad that I won't love you. But you will lose yourself, not have the wisdom to deal with the problem of your own creation and not be able to come to me based off of your fear. Don't fear me like that. Bring every single situation to me. So because I always put it in them, I mean from like they were 3 babies. And then over the years, don't lie to me. I know what you left out. I see the holes because I've been you. Yeah, never been me. You will be. You're going to surpass me. based on what I'm giving you.
Yeah.
But you've never been me. I know, I can see in your chest, your DNA.
Yeah.
So the one thing that I always convey is don't lie to me, because it protects you. And what I require from the village is the same, in that they come in based on what their skills are, and that we rescue each other where we require it. Because sometimes, like the rumblefish, we just get too close, and I'm gonna want to smash your skull until the white meat shows. And because we can't do that, because we're not slaves anymore, we need the village.
Very good. So again, there's a book called "Mama Can't Raise a Man," Robin Service. That I read it, and again, that's helped a lot of people in jails and different things like that.
Absolutely.
And when these kind of books come out, there's always a fight back from the women on the women's side. There's people that like it, but then there's a lot of books that come out that's representing different things from the parenting side that mothers can't do. Why do you think that they feel like they have to take on the father title as well as the mother title? Because
ego. Here's the thing: when we're in communities, not all communities are virtuous. A virtuous community is always going to recognize the role of a father, but we tend to attract a reflection. So if we're in a hurt place and we're in a place that doesn't want to recognize the role of the father, what is our company doing? What conversations are we having? What conversations are hurt men having with each other about women? There's nothing virtuous, is there? Because we'd think there's no good woman and no good man on this planet. And I remember Cat Williams said it. Ask yourself a question: what is it about your no good pussy that keeps attracting no good niggas? Now, if that's the case, there's a point where we have to pull back from society. And that's where I always draw for that Hove line. Until you're by yourself, you can't be me. Until you're by yourself, you can't be free. How are we still going to be slaves in 2016? And it's 2023. So because we refuse to extrapolate ourselves from the mess, we can't actually go internally for that introspection to know ourselves. So what we have to kill within that introspection is the false narrative that comes from the ego. That ego creates resistance immediately we hear something that emotionally triggers us. Mama can't raise no man. Of course we can. Pause. You don't know what start happening when our dick get hard in the morning. You don't know how we think about girls, and then you're in a circle of boys and it's Lord of the Flies because there's no prevailing wisdom. So you don't know that because you haven't experienced it. So cut it out and put that young man in the company of men. If he's not in your family, then identify a mentoring organization or rites of passage where they're going to put man scaffolding on his shoulders. Because the man scaffolding that mothers put on their son's shoulders is pressure. And it makes us act in a particular way. But because we take on that man scaffolding through pressure, then we need a blowout. Now for me, it was drinking from 14. For someone else, it might be the helium balloons. It might be coke. It might be weed. You see 14-year-olds, they're just smoking all day. And their brains are still growing. So what synaptics aren't getting connected as they're smoking weed? As a norm that we didn't start doing until 17, 18, and some people older than that. And some people so infrequently that it's going to mess them up once a quarter. So we have to recognize where the ego is our downfall and let's circumvent it. But take the time for the inner introspection. And that's probably going to come up quite a lot in what we're saying.
Yeah, no, definitely. And that takes logic. And I think that's a part of parenthood that kids need. I think there's a part where when situations happen, there's obviously the mothers I think they're very good at a lot of the sides of it.
Absolutely.
But it is a side of it that in terms of logically understanding.
How are you going to do that?
Situations.
You're going to say a mother's exactly the same as a father with minus logic and reason.
You know,
you're going to cause some trouble, you know.
No. I'm just saying that they're more emotional. Females are more emotional species.
Yeah, they are.
And there's some males that are like females these days. So
Absolutely.
I'm not going to say that they're the only ones with
Absolutely.
it. Just naturally. And that's probably like evidence of someone that hasn't grown up around
That's what it
Any
is.
masculine energy.
So how do you recognize the masculine energy that you've never been around?
Exactly.
And now you're a man who's physical machine, but quick to temper,
Yeah.
like a woman.
Exactly. And then they call that a tough guy or a gangster.
That's an effeminate man.
Exactly.
Effeminate men are dangerous.
Very dangerous.
Yeah. Effeminate men ruin society.
Yeah. Because they're working with their emotions.
Exactly.
And I think that how can you be a father being an effeminate man?
Well, you know, as we've had conversations, as men, the most important thing for us to convey is respect. Because we'd never want to put a man in a position where he could possibly have the room to be disrespectful.
Yeah.
Because we don't know where we're going to go.
Exactly.
Now imagine if you've been raised and now I'm going to speak without thinking, because women can get away with it. But you're learning this from a woman who gets away with it, and you're a man.
Exactly.
And now you're going to go into the manor and start talking to men how you've been spoken to. Loss of life is imminent.
You're lacking accountability and things like that.
Absolutely. And this is why we see the escalation. And we use terms like knife crime, but we see the escalation in violence, targeted violence, because of the behavior.
Yeah.
You're not behaving like men, because men know there's consequences, and you're moving like nothing can't happen.
Exactly.
Something can happen.
Oh, definitely. I think we've got to a space where women need to be spoken to now.
Yeah, definitely.
Like, it's essential now. Like I feel like the lack of understanding or accountability within a lot of, just generally. Yeah, you might find a few that here and there that do have these things, these qualities, but I think it's even them missing out themselves on a certain level of growth of their nature.
Definitely.
From fighting against some of these things. So again, going through that, the fight that is happening between genders at the moment, again, I don't think that's helping motherhood or fatherhood as well.
No way.
Right now. So what do you think about that?
If you think about having a healthy long-term relationship and thinking about money, you ever had a conversation with someone who's never had money in their life?
Yeah.
How they talk about, money's this and people with money are that.
Yeah.
Talk about money, terrible. I say, I will never say that because money due to never lick my pocket again. This is how people are around relationships. They never had a long-term healthy relationship, but they're talking about relationships like relationships ain't shit. Now, I never know anybody who had money who was unhappy, personally. I never knew anybody who had a long-term healthy relationship who was unhappy, personally. But the people who've made themselves experts have not experienced the phenomenon that they're speaking on. So the first thing we have to do is ask, what is our qualification for any of these things? Women can't talk about being fathers. Men can't talk about being mothers. We lack the qualification on both sides. And now these gender wars that are totally manufactured, and you'll see on the bigger platforms, those who are behind the platforms don't look like us. We seem to be on all the panels, all the time, the most aggressive, the loudest, the most frequent, and then it actually impacts on our community. And we don't see that there's a design, and you'll see the architects of their channels smiling, who don't look like us, making money for the prostitutes who want to be famous, male and female. Some of the male prostitutes on those platforms are the worst.
They're the worst.
They're the worst. Because it's not masculine conversations.
No.
Now, I would never go as far as to define what a man is, because everything that men are is what a man is.
Yeah.
But there are masculine traits and feminine traits.
Yes.
And what we are seeing is the receiving trait that's taken on the hurt and is reacting to it. What we're not seeing is the giving part that says, I'm in charge, I'm accountable. How many accountability conversations have you heard in these gender wars?
Very little. This is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And it's all about, and then the way social media takes it, bounces it around, depending on whether it's a woman holder of the account or a male holder of the account. And then this becomes such a big subject. And then you've got you've had the Kevin Samuels, rest in peace. Then you've got the Andrew Tates. Then you've got all of the tribes underneath there, and then
Yeah.
you've got Fresh and Fits, and you've got all of these different where they're just being disrespectful to women, and women that
Absolutely.
go up to these places for some reason in big numbers to be disrespected. Something I don't really understand. Obviously, I don't understand that, and I don't really understand how that's going to help our next generation in parenting.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Even for the kids, the children that are coming up, what do they see in this stuff? Like, if their parents are there in the middle of these gender wars, and then the gender wars isn't just arguing against male and female, it's also making people confused on what a gender is.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? So, and there's nothing wrong with knowing what your gender is, because I've always thought, like, in order to be a transsexual, then you have to be you're proud of the fact that you're a transsexual. That means you're
Absolutely.
proud. You're proud of your transition. You're proud of everything. And I feel like that's the same thing with so changing your gender kind of ruins what you're doing in a way.
But you got to remember as well, because we can never extrapolate the ego from the human experience.
That's right.
And number one, when you look at the transgender movement, this transgender man we hear nothing of, because in society women don't have any power. And they continue not to have any power when they castrate their breasts. So, men who run the world are equally as aggressive. I would say toxic masculinity is demonstrated in how they regulate women to identify themselves. How are you going to call a woman a TERF who says, this is my unique expression and role, and you're seeking to come and usurp my rights as a woman and usurp my identity, and then tell me I can say breastfeed, birth, vagina. Ladies and gentlemen, a vagina is not an extra box.
You know?
It's the first hole. It's not a bonus hole.
Yeah.
And outside of jokes, it's actually the sacred place that after we ejaculate, semen being liquid, the spiritual process of life takes place that matriculates semen into flesh, blood, and bone.
Yeah.
What miracle is that for us just now to dismiss women because 6 foot men with tits have decided that it's no longer unique to naturally born women? It's an insult.
Yeah.
So ego is the biggest part of all of it. So what we're really identifying is the ego is our enemy. And
Would you say that?
you see, ego has facets. But now when we're dealing with ego and we deal with the false self, and that's not a pun for trans, when we deal with the false self, it's the lie that we tell ourselves, isn't it?
Yeah.
So like I can come in a room, as far as I'm concerned, because I got 50 grand last week or yesterday. I'm the smartest person in the room, I'm the richest person in the room, I'm the most qualified. My ego tells me that.
Yeah.
And then quiet money over there in the corner, who makes 100 grand a week in his business, net, doesn't really say anything because power is quiet, right? But my ego has enabled me to believe I'm the power and the glory. We speak about this like as young men. We got our first bit and we were a lad, we were away, right? And we knew everything. But power's quiet based on experience. And you'll see it in a room. Parents, like the daddy be there. Don't worry, leave them. Sometimes them for triple over. Pick him up afterwards.
What the only ones?
Let them go through. Let them, and we see the difference between inexperience and experience.
Yeah.
But you also have the loud one.
Yeah.
That knows. That doesn't have the lived experience.
Yeah.
That's the ego component we're talking about.
But I always say like it's important to control your ego.
Absolutely.
Rather than, because you know they always say,
because we can't kill it dead.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Because the ego can be a very powerful tool.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? If you use it right.
My ego is also what makes me delusional. That if I don't have £1 in my pocket, I know today is going to be successful for every outcome that I've designed in my cerebellum.
Yes. Control
And
ego.
People will say, but you're delusional. I am. I'm a proud delusional man.
Yeah.
Who will go out and do what doesn't seem realistic.
Yeah.
And 80% of the time, I hit the target, and 20% of the time, I don't. But I always forget that 20% of the time I don't hit the target because I was delusional when I went out.
Yeah, and it's part.
Always.
But it's part of hitting the target to not hit the target.
Yeah, yeah.
To find the target. Do you know what I'm saying? But yeah, like I say to you, what I always think support as well. You know, like support in terms of fatherhood, through other brothers and stuff like that. Because again, it sounds crazy saying it, but fatherhood's not just it's not just one man.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? It could be. Don't get twisted. As much as it can be, but I feel like fatherhood is for a set of men, like the uncles. You know what I mean? The elders. Uncle,
granddad.
Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
Close friends.
Close friends. So like, because there's so much difference in opinions that you need.
Absolutely.
And from males, like, because when we grow up, we're surrounded by women.
Yeah.
I don't know about every other culture, but a lot of children are surrounded by women because women hang around with each other because they got kids. They're the ones at home. They're the ones doing the housemaking and all that stuff. So what kind of surrounding do you feel like that is available in these days that allows children to access older men and their advice and knowledge?
Well, and unless it is, look, first of all, we got to deal with the father actually being involved.
Yeah.
Because ideally, it doesn't matter where it comes from as long as it's virtuous.
Yes.
In terms of the house. But if a woman is saying that she doesn't have a man there, and she doesn't have friends, she doesn't have brothers, and her dad isn't involved, you got to find the rites of passage organization. These are the like 100 Black Men, WYLA, the South London version of WYLA, Manhood Academy, MAG, Origin HQ. These guys are out there. They've been out there for 20 odd years and people still asking the questions. They're in every part of London. Just put rites of passage to identify a place and take your son, especially. They're there for boys and girls. But if a boy doesn't have a man, he needs it. Because remember, daughters are seeing their mums. And she's got a clear example of what it is to be a woman. Even if it's dysfunctional, she knows what not to be, right? But if a boy just doesn't know what he doesn't know, and all he's got is that one example there of the woman, he won't understand his masculine and feminine energy, in that he's leaning far too much into his feminine energy, but feeling hard because you're combative all the time. You see, sometimes the masculine energy just doesn't respond to subdue the situation. And that's in assessing. That rumblefish is no good. It's not virtuous, it's not healthy. Sometimes as we're stepping into that energy, we need somebody objective to just pull us back.
Like, 100%.
Let me go in the room and have a word with him.
Definitely. So it's just balance, basically, you know?
Completely balanced.
Yeah.
But maybe we should be reading about masculine and feminine energy and the chakras, rather than just keep having these misaligned conversations where some people are speaking about the spirituality of it and some people are thinking, I'm saying, no, that's a man or a woman.
Yeah.
Because it's not a man or a woman. Receiving energy, the yin, and giving energy, the yang. The yin and the yang, we all have it.
Yeah.
And it's just understanding that. So maybe read up on that to understand it, because we get to know ourselves better.
100%.
And the key I say all the time, know thyself.
It's important. Remember, like I said, you took it lightly when people tell each other, know yourself. You know what I mean? But
yeah,
it's a big sentence.
It's a big, it's a really big thing. You know, and you'll hear it a lot.
Yeah.
And until you actually step out of these little enclaves where you're getting all of this bickering and information and you go into yourself, you won't understand it.
Exactly.
But that deep introspection is required to understand who you are for what you need to do. Yeah. And one of our purposes, if we have life in front of us, is to parent.
Yeah, of course, definitely. Reproduction.
I wanted to ask about the father and the daughter role. How important that kind of is.
I feel like it goes across the board. I don't know what both you think, but
it's slightly unique.
I feel like sometimes they tell you who needs a father or more or less. But I don't think. I think every child needs a father, regardless.
Every child does,
for different reasons.
But it's the balance. And here's what Mac's saying. Is so you can be with a woman who felt abandoned by her father. And it doesn't matter what you do, she feels at some stage you're going to cut, because that's experience. At some stage you're going to let her down. And that's where the sabotage comes in. Because a father actually teaches you how to be with the man you're going to be with, right? The man that you're going to choose. Now imagine if the father either isn't there at all, or has kept making promises, letting you down, and that's where the abandonment comes from. So that particular role, because you're a father of daughters, so you're aware. So what's normal to you isn't normal to all men, because they're not all there.
No, 100%. I just think that every child needs, you know what I'm saying? That's what it is. Like,
Absolutely.
It's so hard to say who needs more or what in different ways. Do you get what I'm saying?
Because it's not more, it's just different.
Yeah, but that's what I think.
I feel like in this conversation, we're almost saying that young boy needs...
Absolutely.
More, innit?
Yeah, I just think I'm talking about children personally. I'm more aiming to... I try to keep it away from saying boy or girl.
Okay.
But we can have this conversation because remember, this conversation is for fathers, and nobody's going to be upset by that, because the dynamic of boys and girls, especially with fathers, is very different. Like, we're going to have an easier time with daughters listening to us. There's a stage where boys is going to become combative, and that's the ego.
I think they both do. I think there's a stereotype for boys and a stereotype for girls, and even whilst we're growing our kids, we're trying to grow them up in their stereotypes. So you might even take your daughter to ballet, your son to football. Do you get what I'm saying? So they're ready to grow them up in their stereotypes of what we told a boy is supposed to be and what a girl is supposed to be, and then we're also told what good parents look like. And,
Absolutely.
And if we were really told what good parents look like, I don't think we'd want to go through that. Do you get what I'm saying? Because a good parent is a parent that can withstand anything.
Anything and everything.
Like I said, unconditional love.
Without projecting it onto the child.
Projecting it onto it. There's things that's going to hurt you, there's things that's going to bother you, but you still have to be there. You know what I'm saying? As long as your child is there, that's the most important thing. Do you know what I'm saying? So I feel like there's different issues that they'll both have, and you'll meet them when you get there. There's a lot of the issues that you think that you're going to prepare for your kids. You won't know them until you get there. You know what I'm saying? They're having their own life experience themselves. So as much as we want them to experience life in a way that we think is best,
In a
sheltered way, they're still going to experience life and the feelings and the emotions that we felt in some sort of way, in some capacity, even if we tried to protect them from it. Do you get what I'm saying? And I think that's what you should be. What a good parent is there for, father and mother, is to actually just be a shield and of protection and somewhere for them to fall back on.
Yeah.
Because that just being able to fall back and get advice and wisdom from someone helps you to prolong your life and prolong how you feel about yourself. Without any knowledge of self, that doesn't come from people learning themselves or anything. Whether you're a boy or a girl, you end up with the same traits. Yeah. And that's why we've got so many feminine men. Because a lot of the single mother upbringings, and then people being very sensitive to certain things. Then it coming out through the music. Then it becoming, you get what I'm saying, becoming a norm, and then people thinking that's cool. Do you get what I'm saying? Because where did it come from that we a lot of people thought that destructive behavior is cool? So that's come from someone as well. That's also come from women saying, "I like bad boys." You know, we went through that time in life. For me, and
that's normalized for us. How mad is that?
Normalized.
Because if a woman desires it, we're gonna be it.
But we're gonna be it if we're broke. That's the thing.
Real talk.
So it's like
real talk. Because that point when it stops is when you start making money.
You start making money, and then if you got make money, you don't want to be no bad boy. So unless you've never been one, do you get what I'm saying? But that whole point of wanting to be the bad boy is because it's the attractive option when you haven't got anything. You understand what I'm saying? So now people run towards because they'll like me if I'm a bit back. Bit of edge about me. So now you run towards that. So you're running towards everything that's going to be destructive. And so these same women that said I like bad boys had children with these so-called bad boys, whether they was or wasn't. Now when the bad boys are now on drugs, they don't know how to explain themselves because of lack of accountability. When the bad boys are in jail or not doing anything, they have no accountability. And that's one of the things that show you like your environment is so important. Like, I know biology and DNA is very important, definitely.
Absolutely.
But your environment to me is more important because I've seen people.
It's an equal aspect.
Equal aspect.
Because there are some. Remember, our DNA is more than what we look like.
Yes.
It's also the libraries we contain.
100%.
And when you convey that, some are capable of circumventing what the environment presents.
Yes.
But most aren't.
And like I say to you, I wouldn't say most aren't. I'd just say the ones that are highlighted.
Yeah.
Are the ones that I haven't been able to, because there's so many people, even in our environments, our communities, that people that have bettered themselves, but you don't hear about those people. You hear about the people that's causing the trouble and people that's got doing the criminal stuff.
The problem child gets the attention.
The destruction gets the attention, and then people gravitate towards what gets the attention. So once we're in that space now I feel like, especially within the 70s/80s, where people really got to live out this side of being street, let's say, you know, like, because in grandparents' time wasn't really like that.
Wasn't like that.
And when like our parents' time wasn't really like that. But when it got to about the 70s, the 80s is where probably I'd say the drugs started coming in a bit more and things like that.
But do you know what it was as well? It's the assimilation, because we assimilated with white working class Britain. And if there were criminal classes in the estates, we gravitated towards it.
Yeah.
So how is it that grandparents came over, married, and within one generation, you got a bag of single parent families?
Yeah.
And crime.
Wow.
One
generation.
One generation. Grandparents kept partners, bought yards, freeholds, outright.
Yeah.
Next generation, single parent families and criminals.
Yeah.
Can't be a Jamaican thing, can it? Can't be a small island thing. Can't be an African thing. Because it was born here. What values were we aspiring to have? Who were we associating with? Who were we adopting from in our family dynamics? We used to eat round the table, observe certain things, and then you look today, everybody's eating in their rooms, separate, on the phone, on the video games, doing what they're doing.
Yeah.
But who did that before us?
It's true. No.
We've got to break it all the way down in order to put it back together again.
Yeah. And that's where we are now.
That's where we are now.
Yeah. Because I think we're naturally going past, because I say that, you know, like 2020 with the pandemic. Obviously, it had a lot of horrible things, you know what I mean, happening at that time. But there was a lot of blessings and, let's say curses, but like blessings and destructive things happening at the same time.
Absolutely.
Well, one of the biggest blessings is that a lot of things had to go back to basics.
Some of us realized we didn't need a school for our children. Some of us realized we didn't need this job necessarily. We're now got dead.
Do you understand?
All of these things that were supposed to give us back our power, going into nature.
Going into nature regularly.
Yeah.
You know, like
that cost what?
Nothing. And I didn't know how long ago since I regularly went to the park. Maybe once in a blue moon with someone for some reason. But from that, I've been regularly going to the park, if you get what I'm saying.
Yeah. We were going on picnics. Yeah.
Regularly doing things that I did back in the day.
Yeah.
You know, like in that year. And it
family value
things. And it really like brought back a lot of that that I forgot about.
Yeah,
Do you know
definitely.
what I mean? Just thinking that it's cooler. You know, even the coolness that's connected to privacy.
Yeah.
You know, go and have your own place. Go get your own place. No, I don't need to live with this. Go and live by yourself. Go and do this by yourself.
Yeah.
Everything became iPhone, iPad. This is all about me. It's all about I. Then become it wasn't about. So, but that was a good thing about that time. It was like a reset in some sort of way. And then it also showed me that people, they've made leisure for people in purchasing things.
Of course, because they understand the nature of the hole in our chest. The hole is called desire, and that's a bottomless hole. You see, you'll never fill it. You could try to fill it with woman, cocaine, alcohol, gambling. If you have any of those vices, you're going to ruin yourself, because it's bottomless. So when you realize what is really there, I say it on a regular basis, you can only fill your chest with purpose and that turns down the volume. But then there's always another mountain to climb. There's always something else to accomplish.
Yeah, yeah.
Or you can go shopping.
Yeah.
You could put a big logo on your chest. I say, the bigger the logo, the smaller the man.
Mm-hmm.
When you're dealing with the inner child, see me, look at me.
Yeah, 100%.
This logo.
Yeah.
This costs money, I have money. No, you spent money.
Yeah.
You not have money.
Yeah.
You spent it on a t-shirt that you spent £200. There are Balenciaga t-shirts that cost £1,200 with Swarovski crystals. Is that masculine?
You know. And even when you break down it, so it's not, what's it say? Balance a gate.
And we have our expression of the moment, but we always need an expression of the moment to externally validate us. And this is what goes back to know thyself.
Yeah.
Because when you know yourself, even your own name isn't a label that you need,
That's right.
but it'll be the only one you need to announce yourself.
Yeah.
All of that other stuff is all for what is lacking
Yeah.
in here.
Yeah.
And it's not to say you can't treat yourself when you can afford the things.
Oh, 100%.
But there are people killing themselves financially for things that they cannot afford based on what is lacking in that hole.
But I always say, depending on the person, they might just be doing the right thing for them. Because
Absolutely, but let's now deal with the universal caustic factors of if you aren't able to comfortably pay your rent, comfortably eat, comfortably provide, you are just universally not doing the right thing. And remember, because we're talking about fathers, you have guys who will go out and buy Balenciaga and they haven't bought school uniform. I lost count how many school uniforms. There was a stage. I bought school uniform for my son. I bought school uniform for my nephew. I bought school uniform for my nieces before.
Yeah.
School uniform.
When we live in a world where that guy will be given more, I don't say credit.
Kudos, he definitely is.
Be given more kudos than the guy that does get a uniform.
Because nobody's seeing those uniforms.
That's
Nobody knows about it. Who runs out and says, I bought school uniforms?
But this is my point. So it's like, when that is being, the bullshit's being more praised, like I said, the destructive behaviour is being more praised than anything. And it even goes back, that's what I said, it goes back to the whole thing where mothers was like, oh, I like a bit of a bad boy. And you know, like, even when the women will be saying it, and then they'll be like, oh, he's too nice, that guy's too nice over there. So even within that, what kind of character that builds within the men that's around in that society, eventually as well, even if they're not trying to be bad, they still know, to a certain degree, I have to have this part.
But being a bad boy is a rites of passage in African and African Caribbean communities. We know it.
Yeah.
We know it.
And what do you mean by rites of passage?
It's something we feel like we have to go through.
Yes.
It's an absolute rites of passage. So when I was on my trajectory, I'd say, I should have been a filmmaker from day dot. And then I've gone through this rites of passage, become distracted. I don't know how many young ladies I became familiar with during that period. But they wanted me. Because what was I conveying?
Knowing thyself.
No, that's not what I was conveying. No.
Oh, at the time?
Yeah.
Okay, now what was you conveying?
Is it bad boy?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
That's why women even today, I want someone who can fuck like he's unemployed.
Yeah.
I mean,
And then when he's unemployed,
it's a problem. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because he's got time and he has to fuck for his rent. He has to fuck so you can make him food. He has to fuck. That's a different kind of sex. I am not trying to, like, I don't want to, you know, even when you're in a position that you got to work for. In the house as well. You go working for it outside is different.
Hey, where are you going to go if you can't stop working? And this is a question for fathers as well. This is a question for fathers as well. Because there are also fathers who will go into another woman's house who has children and do more for her children than he does for his own.
That's the weirdest thing.
It's the weirdest thing. But I've seen it happen.
I've seen it happen myself. Because I feel like there's a lot of men that like to be with women on the basis of, or even would deal with their child on the basis of how
They are with the mum.
They are with the mum.
Yeah.
So if the mum's not giving them nothing sexually or anything like that, or she's not making it, then they're not interested in the kid.
That's bizarre.
And then they're interested in this other child now because they're interested in the woman.
Cast your mind back to when your babies were born, like in your arms.
Yeah.
How you felt.
Yeah.
Like, I love you dearly, but I bump you for now.
Yeah. But
That.
that's us though. And then that.
Yeah, I'm with you.
That gave me problems though.
No, it gave me problems.
Because
I always wanted to be a father,
Yeah.
and it would appear I'm overcompensating, but I'm just doing what I always wanted to do.
100%.
And you don't realize, like in a woman, when they've had a child, there are certain insecurities. When they talk about this postpartum stuff, it's very real.
Oh, it's very real.
And how sensitive was I to it? Not at all. Although I wanted to look after her, I wasn't aware. So I can't be sensitive to it, can I?
No, exactly.
So when I'm doing my thing and you need to bond with your child, there's me. I want to change every nappy. I want to wash him. I want to do all of this. Because I never had that. But then look what I was doing.
Well, no, I believe it's more on the side of they start seeing the unconditional love.
Yeah.
For your child.
And then feeling that as well. Yeah.
I can see that you don't have that for me.
Yeah, hey, how much do we actually think about that? Because I'm thinking about me as your man, and what's the first thing? Sex, and that will come back.
Yeah.
And all of, but then there are all these other elements.
Looking at your child, like, it's the way you look at your child. It's the way you deal with your child. It's the way, and you're like, they can see this love that he has for this child is unconditional.
Yeah.
Let me see how unconditional mine is.
Yeah.
Let me start
Do you know how it would be? Because we're getting close to wrapping up. We were both working from home, web and graphic design. So now I finish with a client. I go upstairs and say, I'm gonna chill out. Let me watch an episode of The Wire or True Blood, Dexter, whatever it was. My boys pack up under my armpit, and she come in the room, and I said, my thing was, I want you on this armpit, him under that armpit.
Yeah.
And then she would think, oh, you're just come in. Nah, you're all right. And I realized you feel excluded, but that wasn't what was in my head. Because my best time is when you're under this armpit and he's under that armpit. You understand? And we're watching the thing. Don't wake him up. But we don't understand what they're going through. And this is part of the thing, even as men, where we'll deal with the sex at a part in our lives and not deal with the spirituality of the exchange, where we're taking on each other's energies.
Yeah.
Because women are the receivers, remember.
100%.
They're receiving us more than... If we're receiving them 10% in that sexual encounter, they're receiving us 80%.
Yeah.
Now, when we make a child, now we are connected.
Yeah.
And we don't realize how much they need that extra that we just put in over here. And a lot of that leads to the breakdowns as well.
I think there's a side of it, like I said, where society, when you say they doesn't need fathers, is fathers are made to feel like they're not needed.
Absolutely.
And that part is where, all right, let's say, for instance, you have a child with someone, yeah? Let's say it doesn't work out with this person.
Yep.
You already know instantly the favour's on the mother's side.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah? And then, so even if you're a super dad and you do everything for your child, you want to do everything for your child. Let's just say, for instance, the woman loses interest in you. Let's put it all on that side, so it's nothing really the man doing. So now the woman's not interested in you. She wants you to move out. She's interested in someone new. So now you got to deal with the heartbreak. Now you got to deal with the leaving. Still try and be this quote unquote great dad.
Yep.
Depending on how much she wants you to be. If she's got a new partner that's like doing different things for them, let's say he's more financially well off, taking them on different holidays, all of this different stuff, but he's still being the dad that he could be. Yeah. He won't. The crazy thing about society is that the society won't look at him as a good dad now at that point.
Yeah.
Because someone else is financially able to do more.
That's what we equate men to, finances.
Yeah, but like it depending on how we equate the finances though as well, because that's a big part of it.
Yeah.
Because we can't just, if we're just doing, like, say for instance we're hustling on the streets and stuff, that's no one's gonna respect that. Very, like, by 25 or something, like, you're not gonna be, your money's not respected. And it's very important for your money to be respected because
Absolutely.
it's different money. You know what I mean? Not all money is good
Because
money.
of the influence that it has when you actually utilize it.
And what you can do with it, what you learn to do with it. When you're making stupid money, you do stupid things. Do you know what I'm saying?
I
You
concur.
don't appreciate it. You don't do anything that makes sense with it. So now, all I'll say with that example is that it doesn't matter even if he was trying to be the best dad. You know, like if circumstances overwhelmed you, and even if you're still a good job, you might be a plumber or something. But this guy's just got whatever. He's a banker, innit? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So you still might have better life skills to teach your child. You still be able to provide all of that stuff. But because the mother automatically gets a lot of the power, you then realize that you're not needed, but you haven't got that same authority that the mother has.
Yeah.
And that,
but herein lies the thing. You see, as men, we have an extra burden. In that, the same way a woman can start an Instagram page, and it's just photos on there. And so she's got 20 photos, not doing much, nice negligees, and 20 photos and 5,000 followers. And then there's a man. And the content, to get the same 5,000 followers, he's got to be saying something and doing something substantial.
100%.
Now, here's the thing as a man. You're going to get the props because you're a mother, child, food's in the fridge, you cook, here's your child. But for me to get props as a father, I got to buy every damn thing. I got to take my seed. I got to be physically there if anybody bullied them. If anything happened in the school, I got to go down and deal with it. Anybody in your family does anything, I got to have a conversation with them. We've got to develop ourselves. So here is the thing I think where society is over fathers. It's that society is over men in general. But it's over a particular type of man because men are still the authority, right? So the man who is building himself continually, small increments, improving, and matriculating into a fully comprehensive man that can deal with all elements of problem, challenge, and apply solutions as they arise, will always have value. So now let's actually split it into what it is. It's that men who believe they've arrived, who have limited skills, society has said are superfluous to necessity. In the family house, in the workplace, in the world. And that's where this thing of toxic masculinity comes from, right? When they say it. But there's nothing about being a man that is toxic, because the elements they call toxic aren't masculine.
100%.
So now when we deal with masculine men, a masculine man does something more important than anybody else on God's green earth. Do you know what he does?
Protect.
He maintains his frame. You're shouting at me, you're saying all kind of crazy stuff. I maintain my frame.
Yeah.
Society's beating me and somebody would want to give up. I maintain my frame.
That's it.
I lose money. I maintain my frame.
Yes.
I lose my home. I maintain my frame. I lose public adulation. I maintain my frame.
Yep.
So the man who can maintain his frame will always be celebrated, promoted, and upheld in society.
Definitely.
Because he's a superhero.
Definitely.
And society recognizes that.
Yeah.
The man who caves, even though it's kind of inevitable for many men to cave due to pressure, society looks at and says, yeah, but we only give Academy Awards for men who maintain their frame.
100%.
Where's your community for you to maintain your frame?
So that kind of means that you have to, as a man, not care about things to a certain degree. Because I feel like we was taught to care about things
Absolutely.
like women as well. So like we were raised by our mother, so our mothers taught us how they think. So now when we're getting into relationships like with this ideal that you've been given by your mother,
yeah,
of how
what
women,
it should be,
how women should be treated, how you should treat them, because that's not even how they want to be treated.
No,
but they still will tell you this is how you should treat a woman, and this is how you should be a gentleman, and X, Y, and Z.
Yeah,
and a lot of those things put men in situations where they have to learn long term and hard way that people don't actually care. So that's the side where I'm like, for fathers that even if you want to be a good father in a society that tries to separate the father from the mother and break down the family, regardless of what the father is doing or whatever he's doing, if so much of the power is given to the mother when it comes to a child, even mentally you might have more power than you think you do because of how they've put it out that the fathers don't have any power. Sometimes you probably just give up certain time, and how it affects your mental health is another story, because your seed is the only thing that can really
ground you.
Yeah, ground you. Do you know what I mean? So it's like, once you're going through all of that as a man, and then seeing these things happen, it's like to maintain a stance that you haven't seen, like we said as well, in a society that is totally against you having power with your child, because they know if a man has the power with his child, because they've done the research. That child
is good.
Yeah.
So let's change the question now, because we asked the question earlier. The question was, do we need a village to raise a child? Now, what village does the man have to improve himself?
Very true.
You see, if you have the right peers, no problem. If you have the wrong peers, they're going to give you an out from your responsibility.
Yeah.
And remember, when we talk about a man improving, a man will never, because we're basically lazy, a man will never improve if he's given the out. So when the exceptional amount of challenges are coming at you, it's to build that man who can stand on his frame irrespective of anything.
Anything, that's right.
So one thing I used to do as a teenager, whenever, I could go to my old man's any day of the week. I had a key for his yard. But how frequently was I sitting down with my old man and talking?
Yeah.
You understand?
Yeah.
There was a barber I used to go to in North London, and I started doing some design work for the barber.
Yeah.
Hanging around, we go to the Afro Hair Show, do these things. And I found that in production, same way I said I met the guys in World Sound Clash.
Yeah.
I met those, hang around with those guys, learning in production. I identified different men, even in the petty criminal thing. I met a brother who had an estate agent, but all of the things that I'm really dealing with was petty crime and them running a shebeen on the weekend, serving drinks, where bad men are coming in, you understand? So whoever we are around is where we're going to take those wisdoms from. So maybe that is another step for us to look at as fathers, in that one of my brothers, Nadim Fronson, I remember I'd watch him, his son fell over. He got the mother of his son, his first son, pregnant at 17.
Wow.
So he was a young dad. And I remember being at his yard and his son fell over and he scratched his leg and he's just about to burst into tears. And he picked him up so quick. He said, "Show me your war wounds. Show me your war wounds." His boy pointed to his leg where he scratched. He kissed it. He said, "You got any more war wounds? You're a soldier. Watch your boy." He's just about to bust into the...
Yeah.
And he was like that. Ask me what happened the first time my son fell over. Picked him up so quick. "Show me your war wounds." He's so proud to show me his war wounds. So we learn from those we're around, be it in absence and drinking beer, or be it in observation of fatherhood, as a lesson for us to adopt. The power is in our communities, and we say it all the time about our networks, but we're not always as practical as we like to say these things, like the 48 laws of power, in adopting them into our routine. We like to talk a lot about it, as if we have it, and that guy's got it so packed down. But how does he actually operate when no one's looking? You say all the smart things. So how can I even help you if I can't see it?
True.
Because you seem so smart, like you got it all together.
Yeah.
But where's the evidence?
I always say that as well. You know, like a lot of what people are proud of to say is things of nothing. You know, like people like saying, "I'm a boss." A boss of what? And what does that mean?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, why is it so important for you to be a boss? Obviously, in certain situations, I get it and all of that. But a lot of people say it when they don't do anything.
Yeah,
absolutely.
absolutely.
Do you know what I mean? So it's like a lot of claims that we want. A lot of them come with no evidence.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? And I always say to people like, yeah, no problem. You say you're this person, you say you're that person, but where's the evidence of who you think you are?
Where's the evidence?
You know what I mean? To you, not even for anyone else. Where's the evidence of who you think you are, or are you just saying it? And that again, that I think that's a place that we're coming into where conversations are helping people to operate better.
Absolutely.
But it's sad to say that we're almost conversating to go backwards,
Definitely.
rather than to go forwards.
But I'll put my hands up and say that I never spoke about any of those things that were really important. When I was with my son's mum and when we were separated, we would go down to the school together and I would speak. I never spoke on that, in that she would trust on my leadership to actually deal with the teachers. You understand? I didn't really speak publicly to say I will go every week and pick up my nieces and nephews and take them cinema or Hyde Park or Winter Wonderland or wherever.
Yeah.
I never spoke on it. I never spoke that I wanted my son and my nephew to be like brothers and I would have these talks with them or bring them to my mum's on a weekly basis. I never said these things. So how would fathers who are going through a particular thing, and it's so easy just via their presence, because if I didn't make all the money I needed to, I'm taking them to the park and I'm buying ice cream. And if it's good, we go in cinema, we go to a restaurant, we go Nando's but if I wasn't, we're going park. I got pictures of them, it's all on the bench, eating ice cream and running them out, come back tired. And they had a fantastic time.
They prefer to do that sometimes more than anything. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
As much as we like to take them to cinema and places like that.
It's a lot of that is, again,
you know what I mean?
ego and for us.
Yeah. You buy them a big expensive present and they're playing with the box.
Yeah.
They don't care about the present. They don't care about what was inside of it. Playing with this box, and it shows you,
but that's part of learning to be a parent as well, via experience.
Definitely.
But what we can do to circumvent a lot of the learning curve is surround ourselves with peers who actually know, who've experienced it, who are aware.
Definitely.
Because we keep saying this thing and it gets old, there's no book. Well, there are books. And there's also communities.
Yes, definitely.
And there are also, success has clues, right? Like, I can never say, I'll watch kids when I go out. And I can never say there was one day my boy will be making any noise when we will go on any of these field trips. Like I used to go on school trips. His school trips. I'll go from my shop on a school trip with him. You see kids on the bus making a bag of noise. And the parent would be like, you should be quiet. And I said to the kid, be quiet. We don't want you to have any personality, tenacity or character. And then I'm looking at my son. My son's next to me or a couple seats in front and he just look at me and he's just cool as a fan. And I've never seen any of this kind of stuff where they're running up and down doing craziness. I tell you, the only time I took him to Legoland, and they got one part in Legoland where they go through these tunnels. And you ever had that feeling you can't see a ute?
Yeah.
And you start panic. And then I seen him come out this tunnel and he's busting up laughing. I said, come here. I said, if you do that again, we're going home.
Yeah.
I said, because I'm here having a heart attack. Thinking somebody kidnapped you.
Do what again?
And you're in the tunnel laughing. Oh, who told me to tell him that? You know, he's just going right back in the thing and he's bending up. And I got the same palpitations. So, success has clues.
No, 100%. 100%. But it's just, that's what I'm saying, it's the different sides. Do you know what I'm saying? It's the different sides of what you need. Because I always say there's no 100% right.
There isn't.
Because I always, like when sometimes people are talking.
There's not a formula.
Yeah, it's good to have these conversations, but kind of understand, because I do watch a lot of these, whether it's the relationship gurus or whether it's these who, and they talk from this perspective. But
then you'll ask some of these guys if they're in a relationship, and they say no.
See? There you go. He didn't even let me finish. I wouldn't even ask them. Sometimes I research.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I research. I was like, this person, they must have it. Let me see. Research this person's wife or this person's husband.
No.
Nothing. So you're giving what men actually like and what women are. And even sometimes you're there, you'll say, this is rubbish. Yeah, you don't have a clue. Where is your partner?
Yeah.
How is everyone giving so much advice in a field that you haven't completed?
Yeah.
Like, as much as I'll talk on certain...
Don't ask me, man.
I talk on certain things, but I won't speak on them as though I'm the...
Authority,
yeah. Because when I see that is one of the most, off-putting things for information as well. It's like, you don't feel like
you've just invalidated everything you've said.
Yeah. And you're like, wow. And there's no space at all. It's just, this is what it is. This is what you need to do. This is what you're doing
With
wrong.
such authority.
Yeah.
But even when I see couples who've been together speaking on what should be done, they say it in a fluid way.
But it's very rare.
Yeah.
I can't find too many I can't name off the top of my head a couple that's
There
highly watched.
There are platforms there.
No, you're right. No, I'm not saying there's not there. I'm saying, like, there's not one, like, there's like a Kevin Samuels or a, you know what I'm saying? Or there's that Asian lady, that Sadia, psychologist, or I think her name is, or something like that. Sadia Khan, she's actress, she's Pakistani actress, I think, something like that. But she does the podcasting thing now. She does got all the advice, but I don't think she's got a husband.
No, she's engaged.
Oh, she's engaged. Yeah,
she's the one who lives in Dubai.
I don't know where she lives.
Yeah, she's engaged.
She's engaged. Hasn't got a husband.
No.
So she's on the route. She's on the train.
She's on the train. What they say? We'll see. Hey, I've been on the train.
Yeah,
really.
yeah. You know what I'm saying? So whether you're engaged, you're married. Like, my thing is, you have to have had married for a certain amount of time to even have this conversation.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, definitely past 10 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, after you're past a marriage past 10 years and you're sitting there as a married couple, you're a tested couple.
Yeah, it's really in the field.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You're just not, just sorted out my life now and I'm giving everyone advice, but I haven't even fully
explored it.
Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like, this has to be long term.
Yeah.
A lot of the things that people are talking about is just attracting someone more most of the time.
But you see, here's the thing in society. What we want is instant results. And this is where the idea of the love languages component came from.
That's right.
So we can have conversations that are exploratory.
Yeah.
Because the truth is, we don't seem to know.
It's true.
We don't seem to know. So let's explore by you telling me what you like and me telling you what I like.
Yeah.
And that's how we have a meeting of minds. Because currently we don't know.
No, exactly.
And in parenting, if society has gone so far left, we need to know, and we need to start exploring and having honest and open, frank conversations.
That's very true.
Because from that comes solutions.
Yes.
And we're only interested in solutions.
Yeah.
We're not interested in ego, we're not interested in hyperbole, and we're definitely not interested in clickbait. We just want solutions, because children matter and they are going to go out and impact the world irrespective of what we do.
And it always will matter.
Yeah.
And there always will be children. Do you know what I'm saying? Sometimes people go on like, you know what I mean, people grow up. No, there's always going to be children.
There's always going to be children.
And at that delicate age, I think it's very important. Even when I was doing the safeguarding course, and I learned how much you learn from 0 to 7.
Absolutely.
And then the rest of it is like, that's 50% of you there.
Take them out of schools.
You know?
But the message is, we have to deliver that grounded foundation from home. And if we're not doing that, our children are in trouble. Mm-hmm. So when they are cancelling each other on a regular basis, the only place we need to look is in the mirror.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. And even the things that's going on outside, like before we finish, I'll just go into the, like the Cosmopolitan magazine in the 60s, 70s was about
feminism,
changing women to be more like men, and that had a big effect, and things like that had a big effect. And there's a lot of things that, like I say to you, within our culture, there's the movies, music and stuff that has a big effect. But
if that Cosmopolitan example wasn't bad enough, Steve Harvey's Think Like a Man and Act Like a Woman.
Wow.
It just came to reiterate the same message, which is partially responsible for what we are seeing now.
Very true. City girls and city boys.
Mess. Keep hope alive.
Yeah.
So ultimately the buck stops with us. We are responsible. And the key for us to move in the capacity of our responsibility is to know ourselves. At some point we need to separate. We need internal reflection. We need to look at our mirror images in our children. And we need to know that our house is stable because we are stable. So our ultimate house for governance are our minds. And when we can actually control those and not go off the Richter scale in terms of emotions, we'll see the reflection of that in our daily lives, in our homes, but definitely in our children. Subscribe to the SigmaCarta YouTube channel. Our aim is to be on the same bandwidth by understanding, agreeing, adopting and applying. SigmaCarta is the unconventional wisdom of men. Subscribe today.